All right, we are witnessing a massive conversation taking over the crypto world. We are not talking about candle patterns or RSI today. We are talking about the end game. We are talking about a total structural shift in how money moves across the planet. According to the title of our news right here, once the reset happens, here's how much XRP you need to become richer. A famous crypto advisor, Paul Talk Crypto, just dropped a bombshell claim that has everyone checking their own wallets. She's talking about a reset where the XRP ledger carries the bulk of the world's currency transfers. If that happens, the numbers we are looking at today will look like pocket change. So in this video, we are going to break down the official distribution data. We are going to see exactly where you stand compared to the rest of the world. Are you in the top 1% or are you part of the elite 0.01%? And most importantly, we are going to discuss the shocking claim that in the future, holding just 10 XRP could make you a millionaire. So let's dive into the math of the reset. So let's start with the first question about what does the distribution data tells us about scarcity. Before we talk about millions, we have to look at the reality of who owns XRP right now. The data is absolutely steep. Did you know that only 631 accounts in the entire world hold more than 5.8 million XRP? That is the elite 0.01%. If you want to be in the top 1% of all XRP holders, the minimum balance you need is 52,265 XRP. Think about that. In a world of 8 billion people, only a tiny fraction holds that much. If you move down to 10%, you only need 2,502 XRP. So, in my own personal opinion, most people most people focus on the daily price, but they miss the scarcity play. When you look at these numbers, you realize that the vast majority of people are sitting on their very small balances. They are waiting for life changing returns, but they aren't positioned for them. To me, being in that 10% or 1% bracket is not just about the money. It is about being ahead of the institutional curve. While the big banks are still getting their licenses, you already have your seat at the table. So, the next question is, could a 5,000 XRP really be worth $50,000 in the near term? Paul Talks Crypto pointed out here a very simple equation. 5,000 XRP at $10,000 price point equals $50,000. For many, $10 is the psychological barrier that they are waiting for. In my own personal opinion, I think $10 is actually a very conservative target once Ripple fully integrates its global partnerships. We have to remember that Ripple has spent years acquiring international licenses. They are not just a tech company anymore. They are global payments infrastructure. If Ripple succeeds, 10% isn't the ceiling. It is the floor. As a trader who watches these every day, I see the $10 mark as the moment when XRP officially graduates from a crypto asset to a world reserve utility. So why would 10 XRP be enough to reach millionaire status? This is where the conversation gets wild. Paul Talks Crypto shared a video right here of a long-time holder who has been around since XRP was 0.07. He claims that once the reset happens and the XRP ledger handles the bulk of all currency transfers, you might only need 10 XRP to be considered wealthy. So, in my own personal opinion, this sounds like a science fiction to most people, right? But think about the volume of the world's money. We are talking quadrillions of dollars in derivatives, cross border payments, and central bank settlements. If XRP is the bridge for all of that, the liquidity needs to be massive. At that point, the price is not driven by people buying on an exchange. It is driven by the mechanical necessity of moving trillions of dollars. In that scenario, holding even one XRP would be extremely rare. It becomes like owning a piece of the internet's base layer. So, is Ripple success the only key to this wealth? The post connects this wealth potential directly to the success of Ripple. Over the last few years, we have seen them build partnerships across every continent. They are moving money internationally in a way that Swift simply cannot compete with. So, in my own personal opinion, Ripple is the engine, but the XRP ledger is the fuel. Many people think Many people make the mistake of thinking XRP only goes up if Ripple does well. But with the Clarity Act and the new XRP uh, and the new 2026 regulations, the ledger is becoming decentralized and permissionless for everyone. So my take is that Ripple will lead the way, but once the reset starts, the ledger will take a life of its own. So we are talking about tokenized real world assets, real estate, and carbon credits all flowing through the same pipe. So what does the reset mean? What does the reset mean for the average holder? The distribution data shows that most holders are sitting far below the balances needed for life changing wealth at today's prices. But the reset narrative changes the math. In my own personal opinion, the key takeaway here is accumulation while the price is accessible. If the old guard of XRP holders who bought at 7 cents are still holding today, they know something we don't. They have seen the long term vision. So, my personal strategy is that it is not about timing the next 10% pump. It is about positioning ourselves so that when the structural shift happens, we aren't one of the people wishing they had just 10 more tokens. And finally, the data shows that very few people hold significant amounts of XRP. This scarcity combined with institutional adoption is a perfect storm. So, in my own opinion, we are living through a period that future history books will call the digital gold rush. The gap between the top 0.01% and everyone else is enormous, but the door is still open. We aren't just talking about a price increase, we are talking about a total financial reset where the winners are those who held the right assets before the world realized they were necessary. So, how much XRP is enough? For some, it's 5,000. For others, it's 50,000. But if the reset happens, even the smallest amount could change our life. So we need to stay focused on the big picture. Ignore the daily noise. we need to ignore the daily noise and remember scarcity is the greatest driver of value. And this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on the next one.